In this world, folks can gain mythic skills by eating fruit from the skill tree. If luck's riding with you, you might end up as a sword saint or even the king of the fist. But for Light, all he got was the title of Cucumber Master. On the day they were set to unlock their skills, Light and his childhood friend Lena were walking to the church buzzing with excitement, talking about the kind of skills they might end up with. Light had always dreamed of being an adventurer. He was ready to take any combat skill and make the most of it. Lena wasn't worried about her skill at all. For her, the only thing that mattered was staying close to Light. Even though Lena felt a little unsure, nobody knows what skill they'll get. Until they bite into that fruit, Light stayed confident, saying they'd both score something incredible. When they got to the church, the Holy Sister explained how the skill fruits worked. The moment you take a bite, the skill locks into your body, and it guarantees you a path toward any job linked to it. But there's one unbreakable rule. You can only eat one fruit in your entire life. If you try to eat another, it's instant death. Plenty of folks in the past couldn't deal with the skill they got and gambled on eating a second fruit. Every single time, it ended in tragedy. The Holy Sister made sure to hammer this point home: one fruit keeps you alive. Hearing this, Lena felt a bit shaken by how dangerous the fruits really were. But the Holy Sister calmed her down, saying as long as she stuck to the rules, nothing bad would happen. With the warnings out of the way, it was time to make their choices. Lena stepped up first, picked a fruit, and bit into it. Right away, her body started glowing with powerful energy. Her body heated up intensely, and it was clear something big was happening. That's when the Holy Sister realized what Lena had just unlocked. She had gained the legendary Sword Saint skill. This skill was so rare, the Holy Sister never thought she'd see it in person. But now, with the Sword Saint title locked in, Lena was set to become one of the greatest adventurers in the entire country. Light's proud of Lena and gives her props for landing such an incredible skill. But now it's his turn. He steps up to the fruit basin, picks out a skill fruit, and takes a deep breath before biting into it. He's not expecting anything as legendary as the Sword Saint skill, but he's holding on to hope for a solid combat ability. The moment the skill flows into his body, he feels disappointed when he realizes he's nothing more than a fruit seller. The Holy Sister does her best to be encouraging, but the only battles Light's looking at are the ones against birds trying to steal his crops. Crushed, Light's dreams of being an adventurer feel completely shattered. He asks if there's any chance he can try another fruit, but the sister shuts it down immediately. The risk of instant death is too high, and she's not letting him gamble with his life. Lena tries to lift his spirits, saying she's willing to stay in the village and grow crops with him. It doesn't matter what they do as long as they're together. But the Holy Sister shuts that idea down fast. Lena's Sword Saint skill is a once-in-a-decade gift, and there's no way she's letting her throw it away on farming. The sister insists Lena becomes an adventurer for the good of the country and takes it a step further by announcing she'll escort her to the royal capital right away to start her training. Lena can't find the courage to stand up to the sister, so she gets whisked away, but not before making a promise to Light that she'll come back for him one day. 3 months roll by, and Light's doing what he can to adjust to his new life. He's putting all his energy into farming, using his skill to grow big grapes. When they're ready, he takes them to town to sell for a little cash. Life's not terrible, but it's not what he imagined. He's constantly pushing thoughts of what could have been to the back of his mind. On one of his trips to town, he sees a poster with news about Lena. Turns out she's been promoted to S rank in just 3 months and is crushing it as an adventurer. He's proud of her, but seeing her rise so high makes him feel like he's hit rock bottom. Even though Light knows his skill isn't cut out for adventuring, he hasn't stopped training every day, hoping to unlock anything that could help him. He spends hours striking at a tree stump, telling himself that if he can split it in half with a sword, it'll prove he's strong enough to make it as an adventurer on his own terms. Hard work doesn't always pay off, and for Light, all that training left him with was bruised wrists and a bruised spirit. He drops to the ground, wondering if Lena still thinks about him. She said she'd come back for him, but with all the fame and fortune she stacked up, he wouldn't be surprised if his name and face were just distant memories to her now. Right then, a little girl named Isla strolls over with a cup of water for him. Isla's been part of Light's life for a while. The village chief didn't want to deal with her, so one day he straight up left her on Light's doorstep. Light saw she had nowhere else to go, so he took her in. They've been living together ever since, figuring life out one day at a time. Isla lets him know dinner's ready and asks if he's coming inside to eat. Light doesn't need to be told twice. He takes his first bite, and Isla starts asking how today's harvest turned out. Light says the profits were decent, especially since he's been putting more effort into growing skill fruits lately. He's quick to add that he separated those fruits into boxes marked with skull emojis, making it clear they're dangerous and off-limits. Isla didn't know skill fruits were dangerous, so Light's warning is a good call, or at least it would have been an hour earlier. Turns out, Isla used some of those fruits to make the stew they're eating. Light freezes, asks if she's sure about using the skill fruits. Isla nods, not realizing the problem. From everything the Holy Sister said, eating a second skill fruit is a guaranteed death sentence. Suddenly, Light feels his body heat up, a sharp pain spreading through his chest. convinced this is the end, collapses to the floor and apologizes to Isla in what he believes are his last moments, blaming himself for expecting her to understand the labels when she can't even read yet. But as he lies there waiting for the worst, Light notices something strange. Death is taking its sweet time. He sits up cautiously checking himself, and realizes he's fine. Isla, seeing the confusion all over his face, asks if he's okay. Light nods slowly, but the confusion doesn't fade. He knows the rules. Eating a second skill fruit should have been game over. Before he can think too much, a piercing headache slams into him, and a new power surges through his body. Then Isla clutches her stomach in pain. She ate the stew too, so that can only mean one thing: she's about to unlock a skill of her own. All of a sudden, Isla starts seeing words floating in front of Light and begins reading out details about his fruit's master skill. Turns out, besides being able to magically grow cucumbers out of nowhere, Light's skill also makes him immune to every kind of fruit's poison. Light's taken aback and asks how she knows all this. Isla explains she can see these floating words, and Light realizes she must have picked up some kind of appraisal skill. She keeps reading and finds something even crazier. Light's got a second skill now. She tells him it's called Sword God. This new skill cranks up Light's attack power when he's holding a sword and gives him some serious magic resistance too. Light's mind starts racing. If what Isla says is legit, maybe his dream of becoming an adventurer can finally come true. He grabs his sword and rushes outside to test it out. Raises the blade, takes one swing, and slices through a tree stump and the giant tree behind it smoothly. At that moment, Light felt he could take on anything. The next day, Light heads into town, hyped to finally join the guild and kickstart his journey as an adventurer. He's dreamed about this moment for ages, and the first thing that catches his eye is the massive notice board loaded with bounty quests. Finishing one of those quests means money, new gear, and good food. But Light's not just here for cash. He wants to see how much his Sword God skill can do in real fights, and whether he's got what it takes to make it as an adventurer. He tells Isla to chill on a bench while he heads to the front desk to pick a quest. While he's gone, Isla's curiosity gets the best of her, so she starts using her appraisal skill on everyone in the guild. She's amazed by all the wild skills people have, but can't believe how useless some of them are. One guy even has a skill that hurts him whenever he uses it. Suddenly, a loud argument breaks out at the front desk. Isla looks over to see Light with another adventurer. The guy recognizes Light as the cucumber seller from the market and wastes no time mocking him, saying someone like him has no business stepping foot in the guild. Light doesn't even acknowledge the guy and calmly tells Isla it's time to head out. This sets the guy off, and instead of letting it go, he decides to swing his sword at Light. But thanks to Light's Sword God skill, he blocks the attack with ease. The guy didn't see that coming at all. He was fully ready to catch a murder charge today. The guy's crew steps in, realizing Light isn't someone to mess with. They tell him to let it go, saying this fight is pointless. Trying to save face, the guy plays it off like he wasn't serious about hurting Light. He and his friends leave to start their mission. Once they're gone, Light and Isla head out too, now that he's secured a quest for them. They make their way to the rocky plains, and Light's hyped. This is his shot to see a monster up close. Knowing the risks, he tells Isla to stay close and keep alert. Soon enough, they spot their target, a slime monster chilling in the distance. Light tries to sneak up on the slime, but it notices him anyway, but Light switches it up and goes straight in with a frontal attack. With his boosted strength, he slices the slime clean in half, but his swing is so strong that he accidentally splits the ground underneath it too. He's thrilled his skill works so well in combat, but he knows he's got to dial it back to avoid causing unnecessary destruction. Isla cheers him on for completing his first quest, but Light reminds her they're not done yet. They've got to chop up the slime and bring its parts back to the guild to get paid. But Isla, feeling bad about cutting up the slime's remains, Light gently reminds her that selling the parts means they'll have enough cash for pizza. And with that, Isla sets her guilt aside and gets to work dissecting the slime. While they're working, shouting echoes across the plains. They drop what they're doing and rush over, only to find Gene and his party in deep trouble. They're being attacked by a massive ogre. Gene's crew thought they'd signed up for an easy job, just take out a slime and call it a day. Running into an ogre was nowhere in their plans. The ogre swings its massive weapon, and Gene's crew dives out of the way. They manage to dodge the first hit, but it's clear they don't stand a chance against this beast. Light calls out to check if they're okay, but the moment Gene spots him, an idea pops into his head. Gene and his crew bolt straight toward Light. At first, Light doesn't get it, but then they sprint past him, and it clicks, trying to use him as bait to escape. Now the ogre's locked onto Light, leaving him no choice but to fight. But this might work out in his favor since he's been itching to test the limits of his new skill. The ogre swings its mace hard, but Light dodges to the side. It's a risky move, and Isla shouts a warning. His Sword God skill boosts his attack power, but not his defense. One hit from that thing, and it's game over for him. Even with the danger, Light refuses to back down. He's got a goal to become the greatest adventurer in the world. and if he wants that, he's got to face challenges like this head-on. Now that he's used to his new strength, he leaps into the air, and when the ogre swings at him, he cuts its mace clean in half. With his goal driving him, Light knows he can't stop here. He's determined to catch up to Lena so they can be together again. In one smooth motion, he brings his sword down and slices the ogre in half. Jean and his friends watch the whole thing go down from a safe spot on a nearby hill, too stunned to even move. A little later, Light heads back to the guild to trade the ogre parts for cash. But when he tells the receptionist he took down the ogre solo, she looks at him like he's joking. He proves it by pulls out the ogre horn he brought back. On top of that, Jean's crew steps up backing his story. They saw everything and swear it's legit. Hearing this, the receptionist finally believes him and asks him to wait while she gets his reward. Jean's friends take the chance to thank Light again for saving their lives. Right then, a commotion starts near the guild's entrance. Light asks what's going on, and Jean explains that the S-rank party has just returned. This isn't just any party, it's the one Lena joined. This is the first time Light's seen her in 3 months. Excited, he walks up to say hello, but Lena glances at him and drops a cold line. "I've never met this man in my life." Back at the guild, Light is standing there, frozen in shock with his mouth wide open. He can't believe Lena actually forgot about him after just 3 months. Isla, clueless about what's going on, tries to cheer him up by suggesting they grab some pizza. Light agrees and takes Isla to get pizza, but he's still moping. Isla, not having it, threatens to eat all the pizza herself if he doesn't snap out of it. Light might be upset about Lena, but he spent a lot of money on that pizza, and no way is he letting it go to waste. He starts eating so fast that he ends up choking, but thankfully someone hands him a glass of water to help. When he looks up to thank them, he freezes again. It's Lena. Light's about to shout her name, but Lena quickly covers his mouth, whispering for him to keep it down, or Grouse might hear them. She sits at their table, and Isla, excited to meet her for the first time, introduces herself. Lena, curious and teasing, almost asks Light if he's figured out some shortcut to parenting during the 3 months she's been gone. But before she can, Light cuts her off, demanding to know what she's doing here. To be fair, Lena's wondering the same thing about him, because she never expected to run into him at the guild. Light proudly explains that he and Isla are now adventurers. He tells her the whole story about the skill fruit incident and how he acquired a second skill. Lena seems genuinely happy for him, knowing it means he can finally chase his dream. When Light asks how her time with the S-rank party sacred has been, her expression says it's been a nightmare. Lena explains that she's stuck fighting alongside a bunch of random people handpicked by the Holy Sister. Sure, the pay is great, but the vibe is worse than a toxic family group chat. She warns Light to stay far away from Sacred if he wants to enjoy his time as an adventurer. Light, still skeptical, doesn't get why Sacred is so bad. He's heard nothing but praise about them. That's when Lena recalls an incident from 2 months ago. Their party was up against a giant serpent, a monster weak to fire. Grouse, their leader, ordered the mage to torch it. The mage did, but he went overboard, setting fire to a nearby farm in the process. When Lena tried to alert Grouse about the fire so they could stop it, he couldn't have cared less about some random farmer's property being destroyed. Their job was to kill the serpent, and they did that, so Grouse dismissed any concerns about collateral damage. To him, things like destroyed farms or dead peasants didn't matter, as long as the job got done. Lena tried explaining the situation to the Holy Sister, hoping for a different response, but the sister cared even less. All she wanted was for Sacred to be remembered as heroes, no matter how much destruction they left behind. Lena doesn't tell Light about the twisted morals of her party, but he can see she's unhappy. Sensing her struggle, Light invites her to join him and Isla. But as much as Lena wants to leave Sacred, she tells him it's impossible because of circumstances she can't control. She says she's fine, but Light notices tears welling up in her eyes. It's clear something is seriously wrong, but Lena doesn't want to burden him with her problems. She gets up and leaves the table, ending the conversation. A little while later, Light heads to the front desk to collect his reward for defeating the ogre. He's handed 10,000 gold pieces, more money than he's ever seen in his life. But even with a hefty payout, Light can't feel excited. His thoughts are stuck on Lena and whatever Sacred is forcing her to endure. Isla suggests that if Lena won't tell him what's going on, he should go straight to the source. She points out that Grouse's lounge door is wide open. Curious and determined, Light walks to the lounge and overhears Grouse lounging with 2 ladies, bragging about his so-called legendary battles. Grouse is in the middle of recounting his most recent fight. He tells the women how he and his party hunted down an evil grizzly bear, using a massive inferno to torch it before delivering the final blow himself. Just then, the receptionist enters to discuss complaints from the villagers near where Grouse's battle took place. She explains that the Inferno Sacred used dried up the village's entire reservoir, leaving them with no water. Grouse brushes off the complaint, claiming that collateral damage is just part of fighting powerful monsters. But secretly, he doesn't care at all. He actually enjoys making life harder for the weaklings, because he sees them as beneath him. Light overhears every word, and his anger boils over. He knows Lena would never dismiss the struggles of ordinary people like that. Hearing how Sacred operates only deepens his resolve to find out what's really going on and help Lena escape their grip. Light storms into the lounge, demanding Grouse let Lena leave Sacred, pointing out how much she's suffering. Grouse barely reacts, dismissing Light's plea as nonsense. Instead, he calls security to toss Light out of the lounge. Isla rushes to Light's side, asking if he's okay. While Light isn't physically hurt, the other adventurers pull him aside to warn him. Messing with Grouse is dangerous, he might be a jerk. But he's protected by the Holy Sister. If she holds a grudge, your adventuring career is as good as over. The next day, all the members of Sacred gather in the lounge, busy basking in their own glory. Lena, however, can't stop thinking about Light's words, how he told her to quit Sacred if it was making her miserable. Finally, she gathers her courage and stands up in front of everyone, declaring that she's done. She wants to live by her moral code as an adventurer, and that means leaving Sacred effective immediately. Lena starts walking toward the exit, but before she can leave, Grouse blocks her path, his face full of rage. He threatens to kill her for daring to defy him. Lena instinctively reaches for her sword to defend herself, but hesitates. Even with her sword saint skill, she knows she can't beat Grouse in a one-on-one fight. With no choice, she lets go of her blade and steps back. Grouse strikes her, knocking her to the floor, and then delivers a smug, condescending speech about how she needs to persevere for the sake of all the people their party will save in the future. He tells her to accept her place and keep going until the day she dies in battle. Later that same day, the Sacred party prepares to leave town, so Lena has resigned herself to a life under Grouse's control. But as they head out, they find their path blocked by Light. Grouse, annoyed, demands to know why Light is in their way. Light, calm but determined, says he's here to get his friend back. He tells Lena that he and Isla are planning to hunt monsters, and they'd love for her to join them. After all, they made a promise to become adventurers together, and he intends to keep it. Hearing this, Lena remembers the promise. She wants to go with Light more than anything, but fear holds her back, so she begs him to leave before he gets hurt. Grouse, seeing Lena's rejection, smugly tells Light to go away. But Light isn't backing down and steps forward and declares his challenge. He wants a duel with Grouse for Lena's freedom. Grouse initially rejects the duel, brushing Light off as a random nobody not worth his time. But when Light taunts him, asking if he's scared of losing to someone so insignificant, Grouse can't let the public disrespect slide. Furious, he agrees to the duel, determined to make an example out of Light. To raise the stakes, Grouse adds a condition. If Light loses, he'll be banned from the Adventurers Guild for life and exiled from the city. Light accepts without hesitation, but Lena pleads with him to back out. She doesn't believe he can win against someone as skilled as Grouse in a sword fight. Grouse smirks and draws his sword ready to attack. Before the fight begins, Isla scans Grouse and warns Light that he possesses the supreme speed skill. She explains that this ability lets him close the gap with his opponents almost instantly, making him incredibly dangerous. Light takes a deep breath and readies his sword. To keep things fair, he announces his own skills, Fruit Master and Sword God. Grouse laughs, refusing to believe anyone could possibly have two skills. The fight starts with Grouse vanishing in an instant, appearing right in front of Light. His first strike is so fast that Light barely sees it coming, but he manages to block. Grouse doesn't let up, unleashing a flurry of strikes that forces Light on the defensive. Light tries to create some distance, but Grouse's supreme speed lets him close the gap in a flash. He appears behind Light and lands a brutal knee to his side, leaving no safe spaces on the battlefield. Light struggles to keep up him, admitting that Grouse is insanely tough, but he refuses to give up. Then he charges in, determined to land a hit, but Grouse easily dodges. While Light is off balance, Grouse destroys his sword with one precise strike. With his weapon gone, the duel seems over. Grouse, feeling cocky, turns to Lena and offers her a deal. He'll spare Light's life if she swears undying loyalty to him for the rest of her days. Light, still standing despite the odds, shouts to Lena that she doesn't need to do that, and promises her he'll find a way to win, even without a proper weapon. Moved by Light's determination, Lena decides to put her faith in him, trusting that he'll pull off a victory somehow. Then we see Grouse, growing tired of what he sees as blatant disrespect, decides to finish Light off with his next attack. Now Light is weaponless, so he quickly scans his surroundings and grabs a broom from a nearby spectator. Grouse gets angry immediately, thinking Light is mocking him, and he's not entirely wrong, considering Light could have borrowed Lena's sword instead. The crowd watches in stunned silence, wondering if Light really intends to fight a duel with nothing but a broom in his hand. Light's confidence doesn't waver, even with a broomstick as his weapon. He envisions it as a proper sword and gets ready for Grouse's next move. Up until now, he's been lagging because he's been fixated on tracking Grouse's movements. But with his Sword God skill granting him top-tier reflexes, Light decides to switch things up. Instead of overthinking, he'll let his instincts take over and strike when the moment feels right. When Grouse speeds in to attack, Light's body reacts instantly. With perfect timing, he swings the broomstick and smacks Grouse across the face so hard that he gets launched into a brick wall. Then Grouse is out cold, and Light is declared the winner of the duel. To drive the point home, Light turns to the remaining members of Sacred and warns them. If they ever come after Lena again, they'll have to deal with him. He then looks at Lena and tells her she's finally free. Once again, he invites her to join his party, and this time Lena happily says yes. A week passes after the duel, and while Light is still busy tending to his grape fields, life is noticeably brighter now that Lena is by his side. She even makes lunch for everyone, and while they eat, she asks Light about the injuries he got from the fight with Grouse. Light reassures her that he's feeling great now, and he's ready to finally join her on some missions. Everything seems perfect except for one lingering problem. Every few days, Lena gets a visitor sent by the Holy Sister, asking her to return to Sacred for a discussion about her decision to leave. Lena refuses every time, saying there's nothing to talk about because her decision is final. But ticking off the Holy Sister comes with consequences. When Light and Lena head to the guild to pick up a quest, they're only offered the worst jobs like taking out Splinter, the Rat King. The pay is laughable, making it tough to get by. But Lena doesn't seem bothered. But in fact, she appreciates how these jobs let her actually help people, like rebuilding homes, clearing sewers, or finding a lost Meow Meow. By the end of the day, they've only made 100 coins, barely enough for 3 pizzas. But neither of them complains. Lena is genuinely happy to be making a difference, and Light is having more fun than ever working with her. Meanwhile, at the Holy Sisters Cathedral, she informs her assistant of her next plan. She intends to assign Lena's party a real job, an S-rank mission, one of the most dangerous out there. And while she doesn't outright say it, it's pretty clear she wouldn't mind if Light didn't make it back alive. The scene jumps to Light and his crew heading to the Adventurers Guild. As they roll in, the receptionist greets them, saying she's been waiting for them. She breaks it down: this job is a race against time. Lena asks what kind of monsters they're dealing with, but the receptionist shrugs, saying she has no clue. She's not even sure if a monster is behind it. Light asks for more details, so the receptionist explains it started 2 months ago when an adventuring party went to the North Montes Valley region for a monster density survey and vanished. A second group was sent to find them but disappeared too. So far, 18 adventurers ranging from rank A to B have gone missing. The receptionist hands over a list of names. Lena spots Bork and Shira on the list, and her expression changes. Light notices and asks if she knows them. Lena explains that they taught her a lot back when she was a rookie adventurer. She's clearly worried, wondering what could have happened to them. The receptionist continues, saying all they know is that everyone who vanished was headed to the old estate of the former Count of Montes. She tells them the manor was built 30 years ago by a guy who got rich from adventuring. Nobody knows what skill he had though. After the Count passed away, the manor started falling apart. The mission is to find the missing adventurers and figure out what's causing all these disappearances. Lena starts to think this might be too dangerous for them. Even high-ranking adventurers didn't make it back alive. She tries to talk Light out of it, but he's already hyped and ready to go. The receptionist notices Isla and asks if the little girl is tagging along. Light says she is, explaining that Isla's appraisal skill makes her super reliable. The receptionist is shocked, wondering how someone so young got a skill fruit. Light says it was just an accident, and she nods understanding. With that, their squad Lixeria sets out on their first big quest. 3 hours later, we see them wandering through the fog, struggling to find the mansion. After a lot of searching, they realize the place is below them. Light takes one look and says it's just as amazing as the rumors claimed. After that, they start heading down. Light tells Isla to watch her step since the path is super narrow. As they move forward, Light keeps his eyes on the mansion, thinking it looks more like a castle than a regular house. That gets him wondering how much money adventurers must make if one of them could afford a place this massive. Lena confirms it, saying she managed to buy her own house in just a few months. Hearing that, Light starts imagining building his own big house, someday complete with a huge farm and training grounds. Isla gets all excited, saying she'd want to live in a candy house. She jumps around, and the foothold beneath her gives way. Light grabs her as she starts to fall, but Lena grabs Light to save him. It doesn't work, they all end up falling. On the way down, Light thinks fast and cuts their momentum by using wind magic through his sword strikes. They land safely, and he's relieved they're okay. That relief doesn't last long. They're suddenly surrounded by monsters on all sides. Light's pumped to fight and quickly takes one out. Lena stops him, telling him to take a closer look at the monsters, points out that they look human. Light starts to realize what's going on and wonders if these creatures were adventurers. Isla uses her appraisal skill and confirms they're undead. She explains they can turn others into undead by biting them. She warns the group to stay sharp. Light freezes, shocked that he just killed something that used to be human. Isla adds that the undead still have the skills they had when they were alive. Lena notices that their abilities match the ones listed for the missing adventurers. Light struggles to accept the idea of fighting their fellow adventurers. One of the undead charges at him, but Lena takes it down. He thanks her, and she tells him she gets why he's hesitating. But they can't leave these adventurers in this state. Light nods, understanding the reality of the situation. Lena says their priority is to get inside the manor to check for any survivors. They push open the gates to the mansion and find even more undead waiting for them. Lena jumps into action, taking them out one by one with speed and precision. Light watches her fight and is blown away by her skill, notices how she targets each enemy's weak points with pinpoint accuracy even while moving fast. He realizes that she's fully mastered her abilities. Even though his skill is technically stronger, he's nowhere near her level right now. Determined not to fall behind, Light steps in and starts slashing through enemies, knows he can't let her get too far ahead of him. One of the undead locks onto Isla, but Lena steps in and saves her just in time. Light is blown away by how Lena manages to land a precise hit right through the gaps in the monster's armor. Lena tells him she's fought more battles in the last 3 months than she ever wanted to. Light is grateful to have someone with her experience around. She checks on Isla, who says she's fine and calls Lena really cool. Light realizes they have to fight while keeping Isla safe, which means even the smallest mistake could cost them big. He decides there's no room for hesitation anymore. Lena says they're done here and suggests heading to the second floor. Light agrees, but asks her why there are so many undead when only 18 adventurers went missing. Lena figures some of the undead were already here before the adventurers showed up. Light starts wondering what could have gone down in this place to create so many undead. As they head upstairs, they pass a portrait of the Count. Meanwhile, elsewhere in the mansion, in a dark room, a shadowy figure is dancing. It's a woman, and she's waiting for Light to reach her. On the second floor, Light and his crew run into another monster that pops out of nowhere. Light takes it down, but he realizes they're surrounded again. He keeps cutting through the monsters, but something feels different. These monsters are more coordinated than the ones they fought earlier. Isla uses her appraisal skill and discovers that someone is controlling them. Light notices strings attached to the monsters and points them out. Isla explains that these threads are transmitting magical energy, meaning the person controlling the monsters is somewhere at the end of the strings. They manage to escape the horde, following the threads until they reach a closed room. Inside they find a ballroom, and woman is there waiting for them. She introduces herself as Dratna, one of the wings of Black Swan, the elite forces of darkness. Light feels a strange mix of relief and suspicion. He's glad to see someone alive, but she doesn't seem like a survivor. Dratna doesn't waste time and summons more undead. Isla reveals that Dratna is controlling the undead using her necromancy skill. With that ability, she can control corpses and spirit-type monsters while also using their skills. Dratna picks up on Isla's appraisal skill and immediately thinks she's going to be a problem. Light tells Dratna they should team up instead of fighting if she's here on a job from the Adventurers Guild. Dratna shuts that down quick. Saying she's not with the guild reveals she's here to take out the Fruitmaster. Without waiting, she sends one of her undead to attack Light, but he takes it down easily. Light wonders why she's trying to kill him. Dratna replies that it's her orders but refuses to say anything more. Lena's thrown off, saying she's never heard of a group called Black Swan or a skill like necromancy. Dratna ignores her, looking at Light and saying he sure took his sweet time getting there. She jokes that she's tired of waiting and hopes he'll entertain her enough to make up for it. Then she sends more undead after them. Light tells Lena to focus on fighting, saying they'll sort everything out later. They tear through the undead quickly, but Dratna isn't happy about Lena interfering. She sends some of the undead to surround Lena while she keeps Light busy in a one-on-one fight. While fighting, Lena spots Bork and Shira among the undead. The shock hits her hard, she can't believe they were killed too. Isla warns Lena to stay sharp, explaining that Bork and Shira still have their skills. She tells Lena that Shira's mirror strike lets her attack from both sides with mirror images, and Bork can extend and sharpen his nails while boosting his stamina. The two undead come at Lena, but she manages to block their attacks. Dratna decides Isla's appraisal skill is too much of a problem and sends an undead to take her out. Light steps in just in time to save Isla, but now he's surrounded by more undead. Light wonders how he's supposed to fight while keeping Isla safe. The undead keep coming at him, and while he manages to cut them down, the constant attacks start wearing him out. Meanwhile, Lena keeps dodging Bork and Shira's attacks, hesitates every time she gets a chance to strike back. She knows she has to kill them but can't bring herself to do it. Memories flood her mind of when she first arrived in the Holy City, how Bork and Shira were the first to welcome her, how they helped her rise to a rank adventurer, and how they pushed her to aim even higher. Lena keeps battling Bork and Shira, stepping back for a moment to check on Light and Isla, but she can't spot them, knows she has to wrap this up fast, so she decides to cut the thread controlling the undead to create an opening. As she slices through the thread, she briefly sees the souls of her old friends. They tell her to end their suffering and ask her to keep adventuring for their sake. Tears stream down her face as she understands what needs to be done, and with a heavy heart she finishes them off. Meanwhile, Light is still fighting off the undead, doing his best to protect Isla. He's starting to feel overwhelmed, wondering how many of these things are out there. Then it clicks, asks Isla if necromancy can create undead. She tells him it doesn't work that way, it only controls the ones that are already around. Light starts thinking, if necromancy isn't creating these things, where are they coming from? This is an abandoned manor, not some graveyard filled with corpses. There has to be an explanation. Isla decides to use her appraisal skill to dig deeper. Dratna watches them and realizes they're sharper than expected. Isla's skill, though, is starting to irritate her, so she sends more undead after her. Light steps in, saving Isla again, and calls Dratna a coward for targeting a kid. Dratna doesn't even flinch and says she doesn't care what he calls her. The undead start closing in. Light knows he has to stay close to Isla to keep her safe, but he also knows they'll lose if all he does is defend. He quickly comes up with a plan and teams up with Isla to take the undead down together. Dratna laughs at them, but Light fires back, telling her she won't be laughing for long. Meanwhile, far away, the Holy Sister gazes into her magic mirror again. She notices a shadow stretching across the moon. Her aide asks what she's seeing. She replies that it's a shadow swallowing the moon, and she's certain that even a priori wouldn't stand a chance against what's coming. Meanwhile, Lena is slicing her way through the undead, desperate to reach Light and Isla because she knows something's wrong. Light, completely surrounded by a swarm of undead, yells at Isla to figure out how these things keep coming. He's sure Dratna isn't the one summoning them. Isla fires up her appraisal skill, scanning the undead adventurers to figure out what's going on. But the numbers are overwhelming, making it nearly impossible to pinpoint anything useful. She quickly realizes she needs a better view to spot what's behind this. Without hesitation, Light grabs her and leaps into the air, holding onto a chandelier to lift her above the chaos. As they scan the scene, Dratna watches them from a distance, giving them all the time they need to uncover the truth. But she's not sweating it, at least not yet. Light, not exactly known for his stamina, struggles to hold on and urges Isla to hurry. Finally, Isla spots something, a special undead figure hidden among the swarm. She identifies it as the one using the summon skill to bring in more undead over and over. Light takes a good look and realizes this undead was once the Count of Montes, the original owner of the manor. Dratna, who's clearly not the sharpest tool in the shed, finally catches on to what Light and Isla are doing. She quickly starts plotting to shut them down before they can fully unravel her plans. Just then, a massive figure appears on the top floor balcony. It's a Soul Reaper dripping with dark energy, staring straight at Isla and Light. Isla doesn't waste time and uses her appraisal skill on the creature. She learns it has the power to turn living beings into undead with a swipe of its scythe or a hit of its sludge. She shouts a warning to Light just in time. He dodges the attack and lands safely back on the ground. The Soul Reaper retreats to Dratna's side, confirming she's the one controlling this nightmare. Dratna, with a smug grin, explains how she got her hands on such a monster. Turns out back when the Count was alive, he summoned the Soul Reaper himself, but instead of controlling it, the creature turned him into one of the undead. When Dratna showed up, she took over the Soul Reaper and every other undead creature in the manor. Light's mind starts piecing everything together: the missing people, the adventurers who disappeared after coming here. It was all the Soul Reaper's work, orchestrated by Dratna. She doesn't even deny it, smugly confirming his suspicions while revealing more grim details. But there's still one thing that doesn't make sense. Why would a hero as celebrated as the Count summon something so dangerous in the first place? Dratna rolls her eyes at Light's cluelessness, breaking it down for him. The Count was never the hero people thought he was. She spills the truth: the Count had a forbidden summon skill, the kind of power that made him a total outcast. At first, folks celebrated him for having such a rare and crazy strong ability. But that admiration didn't last. Fear and suspicion started creeping in. People began wondering if their so-called hero would one day turn on them, using his summoning powers to bring destruction instead of protection. So the government and the people turned their backs on him. They didn't even need proof to brand him a traitor. Pushed to the edge, the Count fled to this remote manor, building it as a place to hide away from the world for the rest of his days. Even after he disappeared, the rulers weren't satisfied. They sent assassins to finish the job. Desperate to survive, the Count summoned the Soul Reaper, but the move backfired big time. Not only did it take his life, but it also cursed the manor, turning it into a death trap for anyone foolish enough to step inside. Dratna wraps up her story, smirking as she declares it's time to end this fight. Using her necromancer skills, she summons a swarm of undead, sending them rushing straight at Light. Before Light can get to the answers he's looking for, the Soul Reaper hurls its sludge at him, forcing him to focus on keeping Isla safe. While dodging, he tells Isla something he noticed earlier: Dratna's necromancy controls the undead, directing their movements and attacks. He explains that her monsters can't make another move unless she gives them new commands. Isla checks his observation and confirms he's right. That's all Light needs to hear. He charges forward, ready to unleash his Sword God technique Surge Blade. But right before executing the move, Light switches it up, leaping straight at Dratna, catching her completely off guard. At the same moment, Sword Saint Lena bursts onto the scene, taking out the Soul Reaper before Dratna can even react. With the Soul Reaper gone for good, the hardest part of the battle is finally over. Now all that's left is to deal with Dratna. Lena faces Dratna and tells her she's not planning to take her out, at least not yet. She's got questions that need answering first. Light figures out they just need to take down the Count to stop the undead from coming back. So he charges in and cuts the Count down, hoping the guy's soul can finally rest. As the Count's body starts falling apart, he mutters his last words, telling Light that one day he'll end up hating skills just like he did. but Light shakes his head, telling the Count straight up that he'll never become like him. Draitna, refusing to accept defeat, doesn't even let the Count die in peace. She uses her necromancy powers to force the Count to summon one last monster as he fades away. A magic circle appears above them, and suddenly, a massive demon dragon is summoned, instantly devouring all the undead around it. When the dragon steps into the manor, Light's group is frozen in fear, while Draitna starts cackling like she's completely lost it. But before Draitna can control the dragon and turn it into her pet, the beast swings its tail and smacks her into the ground, knocking her clean out. Light, Lena, and Isla are now face to face with the huge dragon. Isla recognizes it immediately as a wicked dragon, and Lena, shocked, reveals that this type of monster is so powerful that even top-tier S-rank adventurers can't lay a scratch on it. Despite this, Light stays optimistic, thinking they might stand a chance if they combine their skills. Before he can act on his plan, Isla warns him that the dragon's scales are immune to sword attacks. Light doesn't listen though and leaps into the air, using his sword god's ultimate move. But instead of doing damage, his sword shatters into pieces. The guy barely dodges a dragon fireball and almost gets toasted back to his era of stupidity. With no hope left, Light turns to Lena for a solution. While Light debates fleeing, he realizes running away would only give the dragon a clear shot to finish them off. Lena, meanwhile, tries to come up with a plan to keep the dragon busy long enough for the others to escape. Isla suddenly raises her hands, claiming she's got an idea. Her plan involves Light eating a new skill fruit. Light considers it desperate for any chance to fight back. Meanwhile, Draitna, lying on the ground, starts laughing through her pain. She's thrilled her leader summoned a wicked dragon and is confident Light and his crew are doomed. She passes out with a grin, fully expecting the dragon to end them all. Just then, a strange knight appears out of nowhere, picks up Draitna's weak body, and vanishes with her, leaving Light's group to deal with the dragon alone. Meanwhile, Lena demands to know why Isla has a skill fruit. Isla explains she thought it might be useful someday. The dragon interrupts by slamming its claws into the ground, forcing them apart. With no other option, Light decides to eat the fruit. As he reaches for it, Lena tries stopping him, warning about the risks. Light waves her off, saying he's immune to the poison in skill fruits, which means he can eat as many as he wants. Lena argues that gaining a new skill might interfere with his current ones, though Light ignores her. He's convinced this is their only shot at defeating the dragon. He grabs the fruit from Isla and takes a bite. The moment he swallows it, a sharp pain shoots through his chest, leaving him vulnerable to an attack. The dragon lunges, though Lena shields him just in time. Once he regains focus, Light tells Isla to use her appraisal skill to figure out his new ability. When she checks, her expression says it all: he got bug resistance. Hearing that, Light loses it, yelling about how useless the skill is while Isla hesitantly agrees. Before he can complain further, the dragon fires a massive blast. Lena blocks it, standing firm, still fighting the dragon like the seasoned warrior she is. This gives Light enough time to try another fruit. This time he eats two at once, hoping for better results. The outcome: two ridiculous skills, Cat Charmer and Weapon Durability Boost. The second skill might have helped if his sword wasn't already shattered. Eating two fruits at once also leaves him feeling nauseous and weaker, but he refuses to stop. Desperate, he decides to take one more fruit, hoping for a game-changing skill. While this happens, Lena continues fighting the dragon, leaping into the air for a decisive strike. Her sword breaks on impact, just like Light's. Frustrated, the dragon slams her into the wall with its tail, leaving her dazed. Seeing Lena in trouble, Light panics and bites into the final fruit, watching as his hands begin to glow. Meanwhile, the dragon moves in to finish off Lena. It's about to deal the final blow when Light chucks a rock at it to grab its attention. Isla quickly runs over to help Lena get back on her feet. She tells Lena that Light just unlocked a sleep pixie ability in his hands, a power that can knock out any creature that breathes in its scales. Wasting no time, Light hurls the sleep pixie at the dragon. The pixie releases its scales into the air, but the dragon fights hard to stay awake, barely flinching. Realizing the pixie alone isn't cutting it, Light grabs a shard of his busted sword and channels what's left of his sword god energy into it. He flings it at the ceiling, causing rubble to crash down. Using the chaos as cover, he launches himself into the air. Light lands right on the dragon's face, unleashing the full force of the sleep pixie directly onto the beast. The scales swirl around the dragon, and this time there's no escape. The dragon's eyes droop, and it crashes to the ground, knocked out cold. With the dragon defeated and the dungeon starting to crumble, they all bolt out as fast as possible. By the time they make it out, the place collapses behind them. Exhausted but victorious, Light suggests they head back home to grab their reward and enjoy a proper meal. That night, they race home on horseback. As they approach the gates, the guards immediately recognize Lena and rush to open them. The city's lights flood through, and Isla can't help but be amazed by the sight. Light turns to Isla, thanking her for stepping up back in the dungeon. He then looks over to Lena to express his gratitude. But before he can get the words out, he topples off his horse, passing out on the spot. Isla and Lena both panic, rushing to his side. Elsewhere, Dragna lies unconscious in a dimly lit room with the Holy Sister standing nearby. The mysterious man who brought Dragna there starts to leave, but the Holy Sister stops him, asking what he thinks of the Fruit Master. The man admits he was shocked to hear that Light took down the wicked dragon, though he doesn't see him as a real threat to the Black Swan. The Holy Sister nods, relieved by his words, and the man vanishes into the shadows. Once alone, the Holy Sister's calm expression shifts. She's unsettled by Light's strength and wonders if this is the power of a priori. But deep down, she suspects he's got something even more unique, staring out the window, and murmurs that the time of their meeting is drawing near. The scene jumps to Isla handling the garden while Lena's soaking in the bath. Afterward, Lena starts making lunch, and Isla jumps in to help. While they're cooking, Lena suddenly remembers she forgot to water the garden, but Isla tells her she already handled it. Lena gives her props for doing a solid job. They figure they've got everything under control now, even without Light, and they're sure he'd be happy to see them holding things down. That's when Light walks in, telling them to stop acting like he kicked the bucket. They spin around, shocked to see him up. He says he just came for some water, but they don't let him stand around too long. They scoop him up and take him back to his room, reminding him he needs to rest after eating 4 skill fruits at once. Light lets them know he's already been knocked out for 2 days. Lena checks and sees his fever's finally gone down, but still warns him not to push himself. She hands him lunch, telling him to eat up and get some rest. Right as he's about to dig in, he notices Lena and Isla heading out and asks where they're going. They show him a compulsory summons from the guild. They need to report what they know about the wicked dragon's appearance. Light tries to go with them, but Isla shuts that down fast, saying he needs to rest. They head out without him. Later at the guild, the receptionist lets them know the higher-ups won't be meeting them for another 2 hours. Lena's caught off guard, wondering why they gotta wait so long when they were the ones summoned. The receptionist shrugs, saying the bosses are busy. She also tells them Isla can't enter the conference room since she's not officially registered with the guild. Lena doesn't waste time and decides to get Isla registered right then and there. The receptionist hands Isla a form, and the adventurers hanging around start whispering, surprised that such a little kid is joining their ranks. Hearing all that, Isla turns to Lena and asks if she looks out of place here, saying she doesn't have any cool gear like everyone else. Lena reassures her, telling her she belongs just fine. She reminds Isla that her appraisal skill is valuable and that she gets why a girl her age might care about appearances. Instead of sitting around waiting, Lena suggests they hit up some shops. Isla hesitates, saying she doesn't have any money, but Lena waves it off, telling her not to stress about it. She's like a little sister to her, and that's all that matters. Meanwhile, Light's stuck at the mansion, bored out of his mind. While back in town, Isla and Lena are cooling off with some ice cream, wandering around. Isla spots an interesting shop and pulls Lena toward it, but Lena's side-eyeing the place, thinking it looks more sketchy than interesting. They step inside, and Lena whispers that they should bounce and find somewhere less shady. But Isla stops in front of some rough-looking stones. She points at one and tells Lena it's a diamond. Lena ain't buying it, but Isla insists, saying her appraisal skill doesn't lie. That surprises Lena since she didn't know Isla could use it on objects too. The shopkeeper laughs it off, thinking Isla's messing around, but Lena trusts her. She buys the diamond, ties it on a string, and puts it around Isla's neck before dragging her to a clothing store. The store owner lights up when she sees Lena, happy to have her favorite customer back. Lena tells her she's here to grab something for this little kid, but before she can say much else, the owner gets way too excited. She snatches Lena up and starts throwing her into outfit after outfit from the new collection. Lena finally stops her, making it clear she's here for Isla, not a fashion show. The owner nods and suggests a cute dress, but Isla isn't feeling it. After hesitating for a second, she admits she wants something cool. Something that'll make her look a real adventurer, the way Lena does. Later, they're back at the guild, and Isla's officially registered. Before long, they get summoned to the conference room. Meanwhile, back at the mansion, Light is trying to shake off the boredom by doing some light workouts. The sleep fairy catches him in the act and shuts it down, telling him to get back in bed. He argues that he's been knocked out 2 days straight and needs to move, but she's not hearing it. She drags him back, tucks him in, and pulls the blanket over him. Lying there, Light starts thinking about Lena and Isla, imagining them getting all kinds of praise for taking down the wicked dragon. He grumbles to himself, saying it's not fair. He wants some of that recognition too, and now he's itching to head to the guild. Back at the guild, the receptionist walks Lena and Isla toward the conference room. On the way, she tells Lena it's good to have her here since they need every bit of info they can get on the wicked dragon. Lena says she'll do everything she can to help, but she makes it clear she didn't come just to hand over information and leave. She took this invite because she wanted to figure out where Dragna came from. She knows someone sent Dragna to take them out, and the Adventurers Guild was the only group that knew they were heading to the Count's manor. That means the higher-ups who hired them had to be involved. Right before she steps into the conference room, they confiscate her weapons. Lena and Isla enter, and Isla's eyes widen at how massive the room is. The members of the 4 bureaus are informed that Lena of Luxuria has arrived. Isla whispers, asking what the 4 bureaus even are. and the receptionist explains that they're the major branches of the guild, all working under the guild master. The heads of all 4 are here for this briefing. One by one they get introduced. First is Tiger Beard, the head of security. Then comes Flower Hat, the head of investigation, handling monster ecology and density surveys. Next is Gravekeeper, the head of finances, who's all about maintaining rewards and money, probably a little too obsessed with it. Last is the Holy Sister, the head of inspection. The Holy Sister nods at Lena, praising her for the work she did at the Count's Manor, happy to see she made it out all right. Lena thanks her, but isn't exactly thrilled to be seeing her again. What she's really interested in is how the Holy Sister will react once she starts talking about Draitna and the Black Swan. Isla, still trying to piece things together, asks what the Holy Sister even does. The receptionist tells her she's the top-ranking member of the Inspection Bureau, keeping the other bureaus in check. That makes her the most powerful figure in the guild. Isla, curious, tries to appraise her to see what kind of skills she's got, but nothing shows up. The Holy Sister asks Lena to break down everything she knows about the Wicked Dragon. Lena agrees, but makes it clear she's got a question of her own first. The Holy Sister asks what's on her mind, and Lena brings up how when they went to check out the manor they got ambushed by a woman named Draitna from an organization called the Black Swan. She asks if anybody in the room has ever heard of either name. They all come up empty. Flower Hat chimes in, saying she can use her skill to search the Grand Library's records to dig up any info. But before she can even try, Gravekeeper reminds her that checking personal records needs approval from all 4 of them. The Holy Sister switches the focus back to the Wicked Dragon, saying that's what they need to be worrying about right now. The way she dodges the topic rubs Lena the wrong way, making her think she might be hiding something. The Holy Sister pushes for immediate action, saying they need to track the dragon down and figure out how to deal with it. Flower Hat lets them know she already sent out a scouting bird, but the dragon's no longer at the manor. She adds that if she had a piece of the dragon's body, she might be able to trace it. That's when Lena remembers she grabbed a dragon scale. She pulls it out and shows it to everyone. They all eye it, trying to figure out what it is. Isla appraises it and confirms it's a dragon scale, shocking everyone in the room. Flower Hat steps in to take a closer look, getting all excited since she's never seen one before. She believes this could help her locate the Wicked Dragon. Lena says she's willing to hand it over, but only if they let her see all records related to Draitna. The demand stuns everyone, but Flower Hat is fine with it. Gravekeeper and Tiger Beard don't have any objections either. All eyes turn to the Holy Sister. After a moment she allows it, but warns Lena that there's no guarantee she'll find anything. Lena's good with that. Flower Hat activates her Scholar's Eye skill, scanning through the entire library's records. She finally finds something. Draitna's name pops up in a document. Turns out, 12 years ago in the lake capital of Athena, Draitna got her hands on a skill fruit and gained the necromancy skill from it. Lena's eyes narrow, asks who the appraisal officer was. Flower Hat reads the name aloud. It was the Holy Sister. Lena locks eyes with her, fully convinced now that they're connected. She asks straight up if the Holy Sister knows Draitna. The Holy Sister acts clueless, saying she grants skills to around 1,000 people every year, so there's no way she remembers something from 12 years back. Lena knows she can't push this any further right now, but at least she's got a lead to follow. The Holy Sister thanks Lena for the info, but then drops a shocker: she's having all records of Luxeria erased. Lena raises an eyebrow, asking why. That's when the Holy Sister reveals that Grouse made an official statement, accusing Light of poaching Lena from his party through violence. The whole room shifts, and now everyone's looking at Lena sideways, thinking Luxeria is just a bunch of reckless thugs. Before Lena can even get a word in, Light kicks the door open like he owns the place, walking in like he's expecting applause. He stops when he sees the mood is off, asking why everyone looks like they just got hit with bad news. The Holy Sister tells him straight up his party is being disbanded for breaking guild rules. Light tilts his head, asking if she even has the authority to do that. The receptionist confirms she does. Light shrugs, saying she can do whatever she wants because, guild or not, Luxeria is still Luxeria. That makes the Holy Sister smirk. She activates her skill and notices something about Light that makes her reconsider. She suddenly changes her tune, saying she'll give him a shot to redeem himself. If he wants to keep Luxeria alive, he'll have to take on an S-rank monster hunting job. She throws in that the pay will be real generous. Lena stares at her, thrown off by the sudden switch up. The Holy Sister plays it off, giving some nonsense about Light's determination changing her heart. The others eat it up, praising her for her mercy. Lena turns to Light, telling him to think this through before making a decision. But Light's already locked in, hyped up at the thought of taking down an S-rank beast. He accepts on the spot. Lena warns him again, saying this is a setup. Light hears her but doesn't back down, saying maybe it is. But if he wants his name carved into history, he's gotta break through obstacles like this. Later we see Luxeria gets their hands on the S-rank hunting quest, seeing right away this monster isn't some lightweight. Lena warns Light to stay sharp, saying the Holy Sister is definitely cooking up something. Isla agrees, adding she couldn't even appraise her skills, which makes no sense. That catches Lena off guard. If the Holy Sister has nothing to hide, why keep her skills under wraps? Light brushes it off, saying none of that matters as long as they're ready for battle. Gravekeeper steps in, eyeing Light, telling him weapons aren't allowed in the conference room, so he's getting hit with 1,000 gold fine for carrying one in. Light smirks, showing him his sword completely broken. Can't be a weapon if it's in pieces. Gravekeeper sighs, dropping the fine but reminding him this is the second time he's busted a loaned sword from the guild. That means he now owes 5,000 gold for breaking another one. Later, Light tries to borrow a new sword, but the receptionist shuts him down annoyed. She tells him anyone who's broken 2 weapons can't loan another from the guild. He'll have to buy his own now. She suggests getting a sword custom made if he wants to succeed as an adventurer, explaining that a weapon designed for his combat style will unlock new potential. Light starts thinking about it, realizing he needs something sharp, something tough enough to handle his sword god's skill. With the right sword, maybe even the wicked dragon wouldn't stand a chance. Light brings up going to get his sword made, but Lena cuts in, reminding him it'll take a few days to get forged. She was planning to visit Athena in the meantime. Light looks surprised, asking if she's going alone. She tells him she's got a lead now, so she wants to follow it as soon as possible. She asks Isla to keep an eye on Light while she's gone. Isla agrees. Light tells her not to do anything reckless. She nods before heading off. Somewhere else, a girl runs through the market with a few rough-looking men chasing her. People nearby watch, shaking their heads, saying this kind of thing happens to her all the time. Light and Isla roll up on a guide, asking where Light can get a sword made. The guide ain't got good news, says it's gonna be tough since most of the workshops in the tradesman's district are backing the Holy Sister. That means nobody's about to help Luxuria. Light ain't trying to hear that though he needs a sword. The guide thinks for a sec, then tells him there's a shot at the Bolst workshop on the west side. Says Bolst ain't just any blacksmith dude's a legend, but lately he's been dealing with some problems. Light ain't even listening past legendary blacksmith. He's already hype, ready to get his blade made. He asks the guide to hook him up with a letter of introduction. Meanwhile, Lena's in a carriage, rolling toward her destination, hoping Light and Isla are holding up okay. Back in the tradesman's district, Light's checking out the scene. There's all kinds of stuff out here. Then out of nowhere, they spot that same girl from earlier this time. She's being chased again, but by some different guys. They corner her. The guys press her, telling her to give up. Then they try to jump her, but Light steps in. He calls them out, saying 3 guys ganging up on one girl is weak. They tell him to back off, but he ain't going nowhere. They rush him and he dodges easy, telling the girl to stay behind him. She looks worried, but Light tells her he's got this. He pulls out his busted sword. One of the dudes charges him, but Light flips the script, cracks him with the hilt, sends him flying. The other 2 see that and panic. They grab their injured friend and dip. Light turns to the girl, asks if she's good. She nods, says she's fine, and introduces herself as Monica. Light and Isla introduce themselves too. Monica sees Isla and immediately thinks she's adorable, saying she loves tiny kids. She invites them to her place to show some gratitude, says she'll hook them up with pancakes. Isla's all in as soon as she hears pancakes, but Light shakes his head, tells her they got business at the Bolst workshop. Monica says this workshop is her spot. They figure she must be some kind of apprentice. She takes the lead, they follow her inside. Light looks around and asks where all the tradesmen are. Monica shrugs, says there ain't any, she runs everything herself. Then she drops her full name, Monica Bolst, welcoming them to her workshop. They're straight up shocked when they realize she's the legendary blacksmith. She just grins, happy they know who she is. As a thanks for helping her out, she says she's gonna show them her best creation. She pulls out a frying pan with holes in it. It's for making round pancakes. She calls it the Monica pan, shows how the mold comes off, turning it into a regular pan. Then she pulls out a bunch of different versions. Says they go for 2,000 each. Light thinks that's crazy expensive, but since he saved her, she knocks off 50% for him. She asks if he's buying, but he shakes his head, says he likes his pancakes whole. The shape don't matter much to him. She sighs, wondering why no one ever buys this thing, even though it's innovative. Turns out she tried selling it to 3 guys earlier, but they accused her of scamming and straight up chased her down. Light thinks that's all on her for picking the wrong customers. He's also kinda surprised that blacksmiths make more than just weapons. Monica nods, says most of what she sells is household stuff. Light spots a hoe lying around. She notices, asks if he's into farming tools. He tells her he grows fruit. She figures harvesting must be a grind, but he tells her he does it all by hand. She takes a good look at his hands, then gets an idea, says she's gonna make the perfect tool for him. Light wonders if she's about to forge it right then and there. She nods, says it's a special thanks for saving her. She fires up the forge, grabs her hammer, and gets to work. Isla watches, noticing Monica's got a skill called Super Forge, a technique that lets her shape metal by hammering it, making it exactly how she wants. Light's stunned. While Monica explains with her skill, she can tweak the hardness of the material however she needs. Light knows this is the perfect skill for a blacksmith. Monica makes a pair of harvesting shears for him. He picks them up, feeling how they fit his hand like they were made for him. She tells him to try cutting some firewood with them. Firewood and shears ain't exactly a match, but she keeps at it. So he goes for it, and the shears cut right through the wood. Isla watches, thinking Light must have used his sword god skill. Light shakes his head. The shears are just that sharp. He sees it now. Monica ain't just a blacksmith, she's a legend. He tells her to make him a sword, saying he came here for the ultimate blade. She turns him down. He throws it out there, wondering if this shop is tied to the Holy Sister. She doesn't care about that. She just hates swords, won't make them. She says she can forge anything else, but Light stays firm. A sword is what he needs. Monica already saw this coming the second she laid eyes on his broken blade. She lets him know she didn't bring him here for a sword. She was hoping he'd buy her pan. That sticks with him. She's really trying to sell this thing. She's got her reasons. Even without making swords, she wants to prove she's got a place in the trade. Light remembers something. This was supposed to be a weapons workshop. Monica clears that up. The guide was talking about the shop across the street, the other Bolst workshop. The scene shifts. The other workshop is packed, workers scrambling, tools clanking. They're late on their weekly orders. Monica walks in with Light and Isla, heading straight for her father, Yvonne. She tells him to make a sword for Light. He looks at her like she's lost it. She's handing off customers she won't serve herself. She stands her ground, says it beats selling weapons to shady merchants. Yvonne shuts that down and tells her to stay in her own shop. She walks out, saying she shouldn't have come in the first place. Light turns back to Yvonne, talking about his sword. Yvonne's already swamped. A massive order has him locked in for the next 6 months. He tells Light to go somewhere else. Then Light steps out, but he ain't thinking about any other blacksmith. He wants a sword from Monica. Isla figures they should go back and ask her again. Before Light steps forward, Kane, one of Yvonne's workers, stops him and calls his name. Light never told him his name, but Kane already knows. He saw that duel against Grouse. Some newbie taking down Grouse with a deck brush was wild. But that moment, Kane became a fan. Light shakes his head, because that fight didn't do him any favors. Ever since, the ones who stand with the Holy Sister have been keeping their distance. Kane gets it now. That's the reason Light came here. Monica and her father are the only blacksmiths in this whole district who don't favor the Holy Sister. Light wants to know why they run separate workshops. Kane breaks it down, says Monica used to work at their shop. When she got her Super Forge skill 3 years ago, their reputation skyrocketed, and the Holy City couldn't stop talking about them. 6 months ago, everything changed. A supply wagon got attacked by bandits outside town. Monica's grandmother was on board. She didn't survive, along with the others. The security bureau caught the bandits right away. When they checked the weapons, they found Monica's signature on them. She had nothing to do with those bandits. Her weapons had passed through so many hands before ending up with them, but none of that mattered. Her own sword had taken her grandmother's life. That broke her. Light understands now. That's why she won't make swords. That's why she doesn't get along with her father. Before anything else happens, Zamdo and his guy Doug roll up, looking for Yvonne. Kane mutters under his breath. Zamdo works with the Blackbird Merchant Group. Zamdo looks at Light like he's seen him before. Yvonne steps in, getting straight to business. He asks what Zamdo wants. Zamdo lays it out. More orders. He pulls out a contract, saying they're buying weapons from him every week for another year. Kane knows they're already struggling with orders, and keeping up with this would be impossible. Doug smirks and says if Yvonne can't handle it, Monica will. Her skill is on another level. Any weapons dealer would kill to have her. She can take scraps and turn them into high-quality weapons like it's nothing. Light tells them that Monica ain't down to make swords, and Zando fires back that they'll just have to strong-arm her into it. Zando shows off his skills, and Illa sizes them up. Before things get too heated, Yvonne tells Zando he'll handle the order, and he signs the deal. Zando and his sketchy sidekick bounce, and Kane drops the bomb that the Blackbird merchant crew is using Monica as a bargaining chip to squeeze deals out of them. He points out that Yvonne's being forced to agree to their demands just to keep Monica safe, and Yvonne tells Light not to spill the news to her. Light asks why, and Yvonne just shrugs it off, saying it's not something she needs to know, then bails. Later that night, Light and Isla roll up to Monica's workshop. Monica tells Light she ain't gonna make a sword for him, but he just asks her out for dinner, and she's down. The scene cuts to them chowing down at a feast. Monica finds out Isla's got that appraisal skill and thinks it's amazing, telling her that once word gets out in the tradesman district, everyone's gonna be after her. Monica says she'd love to have her work in the shop too, but Isla drops that she wants to go on adventures with Light, so she can't get stuck being a tradesperson. Monica jokes that Isla's too precious and tells them to eat as much as they want. She's even offering to cover the tab. Light thinks it's kinda off since they were the ones who invited her out, but Monica says it's just a thank you for saving her, adding that it's been about 6 months since she's had a real meal with anyone. Light then orders a bunch of stuff, and since Monica's picking up the check, he really doesn't hold back. Elsewhere, we see Samdo meeting up with the Holy Sister. She asks him for more weapons. He agrees and mentions he spotted Light in the tradesman district today. Then he adds that they've already taken steps, so they should be able to turn him in soon. The Holy Sister is hyped about this, deciding to send a spy to keep the security bureau off their backs. She hopes that Zamdo won't off Light. because she needs him alive and he gets it. Elsewhere, Monica's just getting back from her restaurant run when she bumps into Doug, who straight up kidnaps her. Meanwhile, Isla and Light are heading home when Kane comes sprinting over, yelling for them to hit up the workshop. They roll over, and Kane hands Light a note with Monica's goggles taped to the door. Light reads it and realizes someone's snatched Monica. They want him to roll solo to this underground arena. One of the tradesmen clues them in that the underground arena is actually the Blackbird Merchant Group's base, out on the edge of the tradesman district. Just then, Yvonne steps up, all set to go rescue his daughter, but Kane shuts him down, saying he can't take them on by himself. Light then steps in and volunteers to do it since they were calling for him, and he bounces immediately. Over in the arena, Monica wakes up chained and asks what the plan is. They drop the bomb that she's just bait to lure Light and they're gonna snatch him as soon as he comes to save her. Doug tells her she's gonna be stuck making weapons for them forever because of her skills. Just then, Light crashes into the arena. They figure he's a dumbass for coming alone, so they unleash the raging Taurus, a giant bull-like beast. Doug warns him that between the bull and the crew, he's about to get wrecked, but Light stays cool. As the bull and the crew charge at him, he summons the sleep fairy and knocks all of them out. Monica, totally shocked, wonders what just went down. Light then cuts her loose from her chains and tells her it's time to bounce. She figures she owes him one now, and the scene cuts to them rolling up to the workshop. At the workshop, everyone sees Light carrying Monica. Yvonne asks if she's all good, and Light replies she's just fine, she inhaled some of those sleep pixie scales hanging around. He adds that she'll wake up eventually, with her dad teasing that she's always a little trouble. Light sets her down in the workshop, and Yvonne thanks him for saving his daughter. Elsewhere, a little kid asks the Holy Sister if it's really worth burning so many resources on Light Underwood. The Holy Sister fires back that she just wants to know if he's really a priori from the start. Scene flips to Zamdo heading back to his crew's spot. Running the Holy Sister's words through his mind capture Light alive. Got him thinking, hell, this dude really worth all that. He steps into the hideout, expecting Light to be caught up in his trap by now. But all he sees, his lackeys knocked out snoring. Not a sign of Light anywhere. Cut to Bolst's workshop. Yvonne looks at Light, guilt all over his face, telling him sorry for pulling you into our mess. Light shrugs it off, saying they were coming for me and Monica anyway. Bolst jumps in, saying he's cutting ties with the Blackbird Merchant Group. That means their income's about to hit zero for now, but keeping safe matters more. Monica comes downstairs even though her mother tells her to rest. She looks at her father, asking if he's giving up on making weapons. He says he can't do that, but he'll find a better buyer. Explains that among all forged goods weapons hold a different kind of value, and she should know that. Says he can't keep this workshop running without making weapons. Plus, he takes pride in the craft he spent 25 years sharpening, so he's not backing down. Monica nods, understanding the point. But before she can say anything else, her mother insists she rest first and argue later. Yvonne turns to Light, suggesting he stay the night since it's late. Light hesitates, but they insist. He looks at Isla, asks what she thinks. Isla, half asleep, mumbles shit, that he should take them up on it, so he does. Afterwards, Monica's mother guides Light and Isla to their room. On the way, Light looks around, saying this place has a solid business going. Monica's mother smiles, saying everybody here loves the boss and wants to work for him forever. Light glances at her, asking if she makes weapons too. She shakes her head, saying she doesn't, she's a housewife. She adds that's why she stays out of her husband and Monica's disagreements, saying she hardly has any influence on them. Light disagrees, telling her that's not true. Says Monica talks just like her, so whether she sees it or not she does have an influence. Tells her to have more confidence, and that makes her happy. Later, Light sees Monica standing alone, staring off into space. She looks better now, and he thinks she's back to herself. She tells him the sleeping powder is completely out of her system now, then asks how Isla is doing. He tells her she's knocked out, saying she must be exhausted after waiting outside the whole time while he went to get her back. Monica smiles, saying Isla's a good girl. Light looks at her hand, noticing something, and asks what she's holding. She lifts it up, saying it's the first dagger she ever made. Says her father, who rarely praises anyone, saw it and told her she had a natural talent for blacksmithing. That made her damn straight happy. Light isn't surprised, figures she's had that talent since she was a kid. Monica then mentions that when she got the Superforge skill, she thought it meant she was meant to be a blacksmith, but now she's not so damn sure. Light says she really seems to respect her father. Monica nods, saying she does. Tells him her father taught her all kinds of skills, and she's watched him grow the workshop by bringing in more and more students. He wonders if she can't reconcile with him, but she shakes her head. Says for her, blacksmithing was about getting praise, making people happy and earning money. It made her happy. But after her grandmother passed, she realized it was more than that. By then, she had already sent several swords out into the world. That's when fears set in. The thought of making more of them scared her. That's why she can't stay in the same workshop as her father. She looks at Light, then asks if he's ever killed someone. Light doesn't hesitate, says he has before. Then explains they were undead, but once human. At first, he wasn't sure if he could do it, thought maybe he shouldn't, But when it came down to it, he chose not to hesitate for Isla's sake. Monica listens, then says she doesn't know if swords are good or bad anymore. Asks if he uses swords for good. Light nods, says he does, but his idea of good might not be the same as hers. He asks if she thinks cutting down enemies as an adventurer is a good thing. She isn't sure, but she does know she likes seeing people work hard to chase their dreams. Meanwhile, over at the Blackbird merchant hideout, Doug wakes up tied in chains, looks around confused, then asks Zamdo what's going on. Zamdo tells him this is exactly how he found him. Doug grits his teeth, asking if he's really not going to do anything after getting humiliated like this. Zamdo smirks, saying he's not about to let it slide. Then he glances around at the crew, his expression sharp, letting them know he's already got a plan. With a firm nod, he tells everyone they're moving at dawn. The next morning, Isla wakes Light up, letting him know breakfast is ready. He heads downstairs, rubbing his eyes, and tries to sit at the dining table. But before he can, Monica's little brother blocks the seat beside him, saying that spot belongs to Monica. Their mother steps in, explaining that it's Monica's assigned seat, the one they always keep open for her. No matter where she goes, this will always be home. Light looks at Monica, asking where she is right now. She pauses, then says she must be in her room, telling him to bring her breakfast when they're done eating. After that, Light and Isla take Monica's breakfast outside. He sees her in the garden and asks what she's doing. She says she wants to help her parents after everything that happened. Since she doesn't want to go to the workshop, she's handling yard work instead. Light looks at the soil, asking if they're growing something. She nods, saying they are, but the harvest isn't good. He steps closer, checking the plants, then decides to do something about it. Activates his Fruit Master skill, and the plants start growing. Monica watches surprised, then asks if that was a skill. Light nods, telling her it's his Fruit Master skill. She looks at him confused, then asks how he put the Blackbird merchants to sleep yesterday. He says that was a skill too, explaining that Fruit Master lets him eat as much fruit as he wants. She stares, not sure if that makes sense. But before she can say anything, a loud crash cuts through the air. They turn toward the workshop and see an attack. The Blackbird merchants are back. Monica sees Zando and steps toward him, asking what he's done. He smirks, saying he zapped them because they didn't let him through. Then he turns to her father and zaps him too, leaving Monica frozen in shock. Zando looks at Light, saying they should take this fight outside. The scene cuts to them outside. Light summons his sleep fairy, telling her to put this guy to sleep. The sleep fairy releases its sleep powder, but Zamdo wraps himself in his lightning armor, shaking off the effects instantly. He smirks, saying he's about to tear Light apart along with this whole workshop, then sends a surge of lightning straight at the building. At the same moment, Isla watches, realizing he's using an ability called Thunder Charge, says it lets him gather lightning around himself and blast it out whenever he wants. Zamdo fires another attack at the workshop. Light clenches his fists, deciding there's no easy way to handle this. He waves off the sleep fairy and steps forward, telling Monica and Isla to back up. Zamdo glares at him, saying he's gonna make him pay for busting down the doors to his hideout, since they cost a fortune. Light fires back, saying that's what he gets for kidnapping Monica. Zamdo shrugs, saying he needed her to make weapons for him, says she's got the skills to craft high-quality weapons from cheap materials, way better than the makeshift junk he's using now. To prove his point, he stomps on the sword in his hand, calling it worthless trash. Monica steps forward, saying the craftsman who made that put in real effort, but Zamdo laughs, saying merchants don't get attached to the goods they sell. Light narrows his eyes, telling him to move his foot. Zamdo ignores him, saying if they just surrender, he won't have to wreck everything. Light doesn't waste words, says he's taking Zamdo down and handing him over to the security bureau. Then, without hesitation, he charges in. Zamdo dodges easily. Light skids to a stop and picks up the sword, gripping it tight, saying he won't let Zamdo trample over this workshop or this sword. Then, without giving him a chance to react, he lunges again. But the moment he gets close, he slams into Zamdo's lightning barrier, getting blasted back. Zamdo grins, then launches a barrage of lightning balls. Light tries to deflect them, but they still hit, leaving him struggling to keep his footing. He grits his teeth, wondering what these things are. Zamdo chuckles, saying they're metal balls, charged up and ready to fry him, says he's not about to let Light off easy. Then he fires another wave. Light tries to dodge, but the balls move unpredictably, striking him again. Monica's mind sparks with an idea. She turns to Isla, tells her to check what those metal balls are made of. Isla glances real quick, says they're iron. Monica moves fast, whipping something up before tossing it to Light, telling him to use it. He catches it, looks down, and sees her pan. Pausing for a second, he raises a brow, asking if she expects him to make chocolate pancakes. She cuts him off, shaking her head, telling him to use it to catch the balls. He doesn't get it at first, but when Zamdo attacks again, the balls pull straight to the pan and stick. Monica grins, explaining she made it attract iron. Zamdo's face shifts, surprised she can do something like that. But before he reacts, the pan still conducts lightning, shocking Light. Light clenches his teeth, shakes it off, tells Monica he's good. His eyes have adjusted to the attack pattern, but Monica notices something worse. His sword's chipped won't hold up much longer. She knows he needs a stronger weapon, but there's no time to make one. Before she figures out a plan, Light gets slammed into the wall right beside her. He pushes himself up, eyes locked on Zamdo, tells Isla and Monica to get out. Says he'll hold him off till the security bureau shows up. Then he charges again, determination burning in his eyes, watching him throw himself into the fight to protect the workshop. Monica feels something twist inside, wondering if there's really nothing she can do. She remembers her conversation with Light last night and something clicks. Damn straight she makes a decision, then turns to Isla and tells her to come with her. Meanwhile, at the West Yoruba Plateau, Lena arrives at her last stop, the Blue Deer Station. The driver pulls up, tells her the carriage won't go any further. She steps out, taking in the scene. The driver tells her she'll have to walk from here, looks at her surprised to see a girl traveling alone. She says she's got business ahead, notices how packed the area is. The driver nods, says it's the season of the Athena Fairy Festival, asks if she's here for the event. She shakes her head, says she's looking for someone, then sets out alone, hoping to find Dratna. Back at the workshop, Light swings at Zamdo again, but the lightning barrier blocks him. Zamdo grins, deciding to spice things up. He steps forward, forming a sword out of lightning. Light backs off for a moment, then he charges again. When their blades clash, he feels something off. The lightning sword shouldn't be solid. Zamdo smirks, says even lightning, with no form, can hit like steel when compressed. Light can't believe he can pull this off with his lightning, but he figures a sword fight is where he's got the edge. He rushes in again, thinking he's got the upper hand. But this time, his sword cuts straight through Zamdo's blade as if it ain't even there. Before he can react, Zamdo counters with an attack. He breaks it down, saying his blade ain't just a sword, it's lightning too, and whether it clashes with Light's sword or passes through, that's his call. Light figures he can just push his sword god power to the max and crush him with sheer strength. He charges in again, but Zamdo flips the script using martial arts to shove him back. Light's starting to feel like this dude has no weak spots, but he ain't about to back down. He swings wild, throwing everything he's got at Zamdo, but Zamdo's blocking every hit like it's nothing. Then Light switches it up, he swings hard, using the wind pressure from his sword to launch Zamdo through the air. That only makes Zamdo mad, and now he's done playing. With a sharp glare, he summons a lightning beast, calls it Jubatus, then sicks it on Light without hesitation. Light tries to blast it away, but it ain't budging. He barely holds it back, and before he knows it, Zamdo's already on him, cutting him down with that lightning blade. Meanwhile, over at the workshop, Monica and Isla peek through the window. Monica turns to Isla, dead serious she's gonna save her dad and the others, gonna forge a sword for Light. Somewhere else, the Holy Sister watches Zamdo pushing Light back, and she knows everything is going exactly how she planned. In the meantime, back at Yvonne's shop, all the blacksmiths are tied up while Isla and Monica watch through a hole in the wall. Monica says they need to move fast, but Isla points at the guards by the gate and asks how they're supposed to get inside. Monica looks at her and asks if she still has the shears from yesterday. Isla nods, and that's all she needs to hear. Monica steps out, shouting at the guards, daring them to come after her. The second they take the bait and run after her, Isla sneaks into the shop. She hurries to Yvonne and the others, telling them not to worry cause she's cutting them loose. They wonder how she's gonna do that, but when she pulls out the shears they get their answer. She's almost done when Doug spots her. Before she can react, he grabs her. Outside, Monica is already making her move. She drops a handful of copper plates in the guard's path and uses her skill. The second they step on them, their feet sink in like mud. Before they can react, she hardens the plates, trapping them in place, then rushes back inside. The moment she steps in, she sees Doug holding Isla hostage. He smirks, warning her not to move unless she wants something bad to happen to the kid. She scans the room and spots a stone near her foot. She catches Isla's eye and winks. Isla quickly appraises the stone and figures out what it is. Monica picks it up and throws it near Doug's feet. The second it hits the ground, a bright flash explodes through the room, blinding Doug and everyone else. The blacksmiths and Isla had their eyes shut in time, so they're fine, but Doug stumbles back, letting go of Isla. Before he can react, Yvonne tackles him, and they tie him up. Monica grins at Isla, telling her she did good, then turns to her father, saying Light is out there fighting for them, and he needs a sword from her. Yvonne nods, telling her to do what she has to cause she's a blacksmith too, and he's gonna help. They split up the work, but before they can start, they hear banging outside. The Blackbird merchant goons are trying to break in. They barricade the place and get to work, cause there's no way they're letting those bastards stop them now. They're gonna finish that sword and show them what real blacksmiths can do. Monica hammers at the glowing metal, sparks flying, and for a moment, she gets lost in the memories flooding back. Yvonne tells Monica there's no time to think, so they get back to work. It's her turn to finish the sword, and though it's been 6 months since she last made one, she doesn't hesitate. She still isn't sure if swords are good or bad, but now isn't the time for doubt. She uses her skill to forge the blade, embedding it with powerful properties. Watching her work, her father sees how much she has grown. She understands now that sometimes you do what needs to be done. The sword is ready. Monica and the blacksmiths rush out just in time to see Light on the ground. Without hesitation, she throws him the sword, telling him to use it. Zamdo scoffs, saying it won't change anything since Light is already done. But before he can gloat, Light pushes himself up, grips the sword and smirks. He says this is exactly what he needs to take Zamdo down. Zamdo laughs, calling his bluff since he can barely stand. But Light ignores him and tells Isla to toss him a skill fruit. She does, but her aim is off. Zamdo catches it instead, looking amused. He wonders why Light would even need one, reminding him that the sleeping powder from earlier was his skill, and that a person can only eat one skill fruit in their life. If they take a second, they die. He doesn't know what Light is thinking, but whatever plan he had, it's over. Light exhales and nods, admitting Zamdo is strong, but he makes it clear that he isn't losing here. He is going to be the greatest adventurer in history, and this fight isn't where it ends. Zamdo's smirk fades as he glares at him, irritated by his confidence. Without another word, he shoves the skill fruit into Light's mouth and tells him he has no way out. If he bites down, he dies. If he doesn't, he suffocates. Leaning in, Zamdo tells him to spit it out and admit defeat. If he does, he will let him live and spare the workshop. That is a better choice than dying. Light doesn't even flinch. Without hesitation, he bites down, then kicks Zamdo back, breaking free. Zamdo stares, unable to understand what just happened, while Light wipes his mouth and calmly explains that he is the fruit master. He can eat as many skill fruits as he wants. Zamdo refuses to believe it, but Light only chuckles, saying he knew he would shove the fruit down his throat. Someone like Zamdo enjoys torturing people, and that predictable cruelty just cost him the fight. Zamdo figures out Light played him, tricking him into shoving that fruit down his throat. Light turns to Isla, telling her to check him out. She does, then says his new skill is Torch Flame, lets him set his hands and anything he's holding on fire. Light realizes it's a utility skill, nothing flashy, but Zamdo's straight up shocked he pulled off getting another one. He knows Light ain't normal, and now it makes sense why the Holy Sister got her eye on him. Zamdo mutters that he was supposed to take Light in alive, but that ain't looking too likely anymore. No point holding back, so he calls out his lightning beast again. Light ain't backing down either. Fire flares up around his sword, and when Zamdo's beast lunges, Light cuts right through it like it's nothing. Zamdo watches interested, and Light grins, saying this new power lets him slice right through that lightning like it's paper. Tension spikes as both of them get serious. Doug and his crew show up, ready to back up their boss, but Zamdo waves them off. He's enjoying himself too much. Light smirks, telling him he won't be laughing when he loses. With that, Zamdo summons a lightning demon, and Light calls forth a fiery beast, their powers crackling in the air. Kane watches, wondering if Monica's sword can take the heat literally of both fire and lightning. They both know this next move decides everything. Monica holds her breath, hoping her sword lasts till the end. Isla reassures her, saying Light's got this, telling her to believe. Light locks eyes with Monica, promising he's gonna win with her sword. She nods, putting her faith in him, telling him to protect this place. They both go all out, their attacks slamming into each other in a massive explosion. When the dust settles, they're still standing. Then Zamdo's body gives out. He drops to the ground completely drained. Light wins. The others breathe out in relief, but his sword snaps clean in half again. He stares at it, barely believing it himself. Monica walks up to him, and he thanks her for the sword, apologizing for breaking it, knowing she made it just for him. She shakes her head unfazed, saying she'll make him another one that suits him even better. She thanks him for keeping the workshop safe, but Doug and his crew still ain't ready to quit. They try to jump Light, but he just lifts what's left of his sword. Eyes locked on them, and that's all it takes. Fear hits them, and they back off fast. Out of nowhere, Tigerbeard and his crew storm in, locking down every last member of the Blackbird merchant group. Chains of wind wrap around them in an instant, holding them tight as his men haul them away. He turns to Yvonne, sighing as he apologizes for showing up late, explaining that someone blocked the report from ever getting out. Yvonne waves it off, saying it's fine, but the only reason he made it through is because of the guy next to him. Tigerbeard glances over and recognizes Light, the same kid he met at the Wicked Dragon meeting. Seeing him knocked out cold, he nods in approval, saying he did good and should rest. Monica, finally letting the weight of it all hit her, drops to her knees, relieved that it's over. Isla kneels beside her, asking what kind of properties she gave that sword. Monica shakes her head, saying she didn't do anything special. She just wanted it to be as strong and tough as possible. But it still broke. The only thing extra was a little charm, hoping it'd help Light win. Isla wonders if that charm was what turned into the fiery beast, thinking that there's a lot about skills they still don't understand. Before they can say more, a messenger bird swoops in, landing right on Isla. She pulls the note from its leg and scans it, realizing it's from Lena. Lena writes that she's heading to Athena, but it's taking longer than she expected. Monica's eyes widen, calling her the Sword Saint, the warrior everybody's been talking about. Isla grins, saying she's more than that, she's part of their party. The scene shifts to Lena, standing outside Athena, reading Isla's reply. Her eyes darken as she remembers why she's here to dig deeper into Black Swan. One of their members tried to kill them, and she's convinced Dratna was following orders from the Holy Sister. She grips the note tighter, determined to find proof. The city of Athena stretches out before her, and as she walks toward it, one thing is clear. She's gonna protect her party no matter what. Her only lead is Dratna Bellberry, one of Black Swan's members, and as soon as she gets inside, she's going straight for her. Somewhere far away, the Holy Sister watches, sensing that Light has survived yet again, but something about his future feels uncertain. This ain't looking good at all. The scene shifts to Lena stepping into Athena, a city of fairies and lakes. She spots a bard hyping up the fairy festival, handing out flower garlands. He gives her one, but she ain't here for that. The whole place is buzzing with energy, but she stays locked in, pushing forward with her investigation. If the Holy Sister's secret is hiding somewhere in this city, she's gonna find it. She asks a couple about Dratna, but soon as they hear the name Bellberry, their faces twist in fear, and without a word, they turn and run. She tries again with others, but it's the same thing: nervous looks, hushed whispers, and people walking away without answering. She starts thinking about her next move when she catches sight of someone in a hood watching her from a distance. The second she locks eyes with him, he turns and slips into the crowd. She follows, weaving through the streets, staying on his trail until he disappears into an abandoned alley. Before she can react, he's behind her, binding her with his skill as vines wrap around her. She doesn't hesitate, cutting through them with her sword, and in a flash their blades clash. Dude's got real skill, moving sharp and fast. If he was an adventurer, he'd be ranking higher than S, but she's not about to back down. He acknowledges her swordplay, but she ain't here for compliments. She demands to know who he is and what he's after, but he shuts that down, saying he can't have some rookie digging around like a spy. She smirks, telling him she's about to show him she ain't no rookie. Before either of them can make the next move, a voice cuts in, telling them to stop. Lena turns, ready to fight whoever's next, but then she sees Flower Hat standing there. She introduces the man as Ewan, her subordinate, explaining that she had him tail Lena because she was being way too obvious with her questions. Lena doesn't like this one bit, but then Flower Hat drops something unexpected. The investigation bureau is in the city for the same reason Dratna. That throws her off. She figured Flower Hat was on the Holy Sister's side, but Flower Hat shakes her head, saying she doesn't take sides. Her job is to gather information, nothing more. Ewan steps in, explaining that tracking Dratna is key to stopping the Wicked Dragon. They're still analyzing the dragon scale Lena brought to the Wicked Dragon meeting, but until they get answers, Dratna is the only lead they've got. Lena figures this is exactly why a bureau head showed up in person. Ewan makes it clear that stopping the Wicked Dragon takes top priority, saying it'd be a disaster if that thing showed up in his city. Flower Hat points out that while Lena's busy digging into the Holy Sister's connection to all this, the bureau is focused on the dragon. If she keeps running around asking dumb questions, she's going to attract the wrong kind of attention, making their job harder. She tells Lena to back off and leave. They turn to go, but Lena refuses to walk away empty-handed. She insists on tagging along, thinking it's risky since Flower Hat holds the same kind of authority as the Holy Sister. But she's an expert investigator. Flower Hat eyes her, asking if she plans to mooch off their work. Lena doesn't even try to deny it, admitting she'll take any scrap of info she can get. Flower Hat agrees, but makes it clear that if she's coming, she follows orders and doesn't question how things get done. Lena gets the message. Ewan, on the other hand, doesn't see how bringing her along helps them at all. Flower Hat leans in and whispers to him Lena has seen Dratna's face. That's something they don't have. With that settled, Flower Hat tells Lena they need to eat first. The scene shifts to a restaurant. Flower Hat orders peanut butter sushi, and Lena is straight up confused. Before she can process what's happening, it turns out the dish name is actually a password. The waitress nods and leads them to a stairway going underground. They step into a dimly lit bar, where an informant waits for them. Ewan slides over 20,000 gold, telling him they need everything he's got on Dratna, including where to find her. The informant raises a brow, surprised anyone would ask about that nuisance. He spills the truth: Dratna is the daughter of what used to be the town's prestigious Bellberry family. He explains how the family collapsed because of her. She was a kid who loved to dance, but when she turned 6, she awakened the necromancy skill. At the same time, her family's trading business tanked, and her mother passed away. Rumors spread fast. People started saying the family was cursed. Her father blamed her forbidden skill for all their misfortune, disowned her, and sent her to live in a villa. Ever since, the whole town has treated her like some cursed soul, keeping their distance as if even looking at her would bring bad luck. Flower Hat puts it together. This is why nobody wanted to talk about Dratna. The informant adds that the only person who ever stood by her was the Holy Sister. He figures the Holy Sister must have pitied her, since she was there when Dratna first awakened her skill. She wrote to her, kept in touch, even invited her to the Holy City. But to the Holy Sister, she was probably just another unfortunate child she helped along the way. Flower Hat starts thinking about where Dratna might be now. The informant casually drops that she's in this city. Lena wasn't expecting that. She assumed Dratna died when the mansion collapsed, but he shakes his head, saying she's alive and doing just fine. Then he leans in, saying if they want her exact location, it's gonna cost extra. Ewan doesn't play that game. He reminds the guy they already agreed on a price, and that price included both details and location. The informant tries to act slick, but before he can push his luck, Ewan binds him with vines, pressing a blade against his throat and demanding to know where Dratna is. Lena watches, thinking they've stepped over a line, but Flower Hat shuts that down fast. She reminds Lena that she agreed to stay quiet. She points out that the informant broke the deal first. Ewan adds that trying to swindle the investigation bureau was a dumb move. Now terrified, the informant spills everything. Dratna should be in the theater district right now, getting ready for the dance of the fairies. Ewan lets him go, but Lena can't shake the feeling that they just forced that information out of him. Flower Hat tells her she's too soft, saying real information isn't just lying around waiting to be picked up. The scene cuts to Dratna inside her home as she gets ready to leave. Her butler watches her head toward the door and asks if she's going out again. She nods, saying she'll be right back. He doesn't stop her, but he warns her that if she keeps pushing herself without rest, her injuries will only get worse. Dratna doesn't care. She's been chosen by the Holy Sister to be a dancer, and she's going to make sure she's fully prepared for her performance. The butler understands and gets the carriage ready. Somewhere else, Ewan fills Lena and Flower Hat in on what the Dance of the Fairies really is. It's a sacred ritual held on the last day of the fairy festival. Flower Hat explains that 1,000 years ago, the Fairy King protected this lake from an invading monster army. The ritual is a reenactment of that legend, a prayer for peace. She adds that, according to the people of this city, purifying the fairy stone keeps them safe from disaster. If that's true, this ceremony might be more important than it seems. Ewan explains that every year, daughters from respectable families are chosen as dancers, and a strong enough performance can raise their family's status. This year Dratna was selected, but Lena struggles to understand why she'd stay in a city where nobody wants her. Flower Hat figures they'll get their answers once they get inside, and as they stand before the building where the dancers practice, they step forward to enter. The guards stop them, saying only authorized personnel are allowed inside. But without missing a beat, they remove their cloaks, revealing their dancer uniforms and claiming they belong there. The guards glance at them, trying to recall if they've seen them before, but after a moment of doubt, they decide their physiques match those of dancers and let them pass. Flower Hat finds it almost too simple, and as they walk through the building, they overhear a group of girls whispering about Dratna, warning each other to stay away from her because their father told them she's cursed. Flower Hat notes that these girls come from well-known families, but their words are cruel, and as Lena listens, she starts feeling a deep pity for Dratna, wondering what kind of life she must have lived to be treated like this. They move toward the practice stage, and when Lena finally spots Dratna dancing, Dratna stops in surprise as soon as she sees her. Before she can react, Ewan binds her with his vines, making her demand an explanation. Flower Hat doesn't waste a second and asks directly where the wicked dragon is. But Dratna sighs and explains that from the moment it was summoned, it was never under her control. Flower Hat's frustration grows as she realizes this lead is useless, and she immediately decides that Dratna is coming with her to the Holy City so she can use magic tracking on her. Dratna refuses, saying she won't go now, but Flower Hat reminds her that they don't have the luxury of time. Dratna insists she doesn't mind going, but she begs for 2 days, wanting to stay until the Dance of the Fairies. Flower Hat rejects the idea outright, but Dratna pleads, saying this is all she has ever wanted since she was a child. As Lena watches her, she sees how much this means to her and tries to convince Flower Hat to wait. Flower Hat doesn't change her stance, telling Dratna that she is being selfish and making it clear that if she won't go on her own, she will take her by force. Lena realizes that Flower Hat's way of doing things, getting information at any cost, is her version of justice, but it doesn't sit right with her. Suddenly, she cuts through the vines, freeing Dratna. Ewan moves to stop them, but Lena grabs Dratna and rushes through the theater. They slip past him and leap from the building, disappearing into the city streets before he can react. Ewan chases them, but by the time he reaches the streets, they are gone. Returning to Flower Hat, he apologizes for letting them escape, but she isn't worried. She knows they won't leave while the festival is still happening. Not when Dratna is so obsessed with the dance. She expected Lena to be obedient, but she's more daring than she thought. Hidden in the city, Lena and Dratna catch their breath. Dratna asks why she helped, but Lena has no answer. The scene shifts to a couple floating down the river, with the bard from earlier sitting nearby. As they admire the view, he asks if they've heard the legend of the loyal servant of the fairy monarch, sealed beneath the massive fairy stone at the lake's base. For 1,000 years, this servant has guarded Lake Athena, but the couple shakes their heads, saying they've never heard the story. They comment on how magical the crystal looks at night, and the bard explains that the Dance of the Fairies is a ritual meant to soothe the spirit of this guardian, who left the fairy world on his own and chose to protect this land. They find it to be an interesting tale, but then the bard wonders aloud what would happen if cracks began forming in the crystal. The couple is confused, but before they can ask anything, he changes the subject. In the meantime, Monica is in her workshop, focused on crafting the perfect sword for Light. Back in Athena, Flower Hat sends her birds to search for Lena and Dratna, but they return almost instantly. Something isn't right. She plucks a flower from her hat and watches it wither. Frowning, she flips through documents, searching for answers. When she finds what she's looking for, her expression darkens. Something ominous is coming, and Lena and Drytna might be the only ones who can stop it. The scene shifts once more to the massive crystal in the lake center, where dark energy gathers, swirling as the crystal absorbs it, pulsing with an eerie glow. Thank you for watching to the end. If you enjoyed this recap, please hit the like button and subscribe. If you have any suggestions or tweaks, share them in the comments. They help me improve.